This shit's so fucking draining. I really never wanted to go this way with anything either. All I wanted to know was before I got the restraining orders, all I wanted to know was, why did you stop calling? Do you want out of the contract? Do you never want to speak again? And I would have been okay with that. But instead, they took this fucking bullshit fake restraining order. Anyway, I'll get to that part too. So, anyway, where were we? She did the whole thing with Honey. And then January kind of hit. She went through January, did her own thing. She went to Steamboat again, I guess, with her thing. But only for like a day, I think. So that's when I knew it was kind of over with her. So then what happened was, while she was there in February, Eric started calling me all the time, or texting me, I should say, and DMing me. And he's like, bro, I know she's with you. Just tell me she's with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? She's not with me. He's like, I know she's with you. I heard you in the background. I was like, Eric, we haven't talked in months now. I was like, the relationship's never really been that stable. I'm sure she's fucking other people. I was like, especially with her sex drive. He's like, what are you talking about? She has no sex drive. I'm like, she has no sex drive with you. I was like, I can't keep my pants on with her. I was like, and she's always trying to talk about bringing another girl into it. I was like, her parents said she's a nympho. I think she is a nympho. Like, I'm even questioning some other stuff from before that caused all this shit that, whether or not she's a nympho. Anyway, he was calling me, basically asking where she is. I'm like, she's not with me. She was in Vegas doing some stuff for NASM, I believe, whatever it's called. And I think she was with that, I don't remember his name. He's a black guy. That sounds racist, but I'm not trying to be racist. He's just a black guy that she was with. I'm pretty sure she was hooking up with him, though, anyway. So, anyway, I messaged her, and I said, hey, look, Eric's contacted me. I really don't appreciate this shit. Supposedly, since she has a restraining order on me, and he won't talk anything out to me man-to-man. Fucking, if he told me, like, hey, I really want to work things out with my wife said the same thing, I would just walk the fuck away. Or if they even said, hey, Chris, could you just coach her? I would. I have a lot of female friends, like a lot, that I've hooked up with, that I still work with, that I'm still friends with. And if they come to me and like, hey, will you coach me even though you're my ex-boyfriend? I'll coach them. You're paying me. It's going to be a coach relationship. And that's it. I don't do anything with clients, ever. So anyway, he's hitting me up, asking me all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So finally she gets back to me maybe like 5 days later. She's like, hey, I'm sorry about that. She's like, I've been away. She's like, I haven't spoken to Eric in weeks. And I was like, you haven't spoken to Eric in weeks? She's like, yeah, I've been in California. She was shooting some Idol thing for HBO Max, and then she was doing some photo thing for another movie in New Mexico, which she ended up getting kicked off of because she wasn't jacked enough, which is, she didn't want to get any bigger, and I totally don't blame her. I wouldn't want to get bigger either. So she was doing that shit. So March hits. She asked me if I'll prep her for the Arnold. And I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? I was like, Honey better not get any fucking credit. She's like, nope, Honey's already out of my bio. He's already broke parts of his contract. She's like, the only thing I use Honey for is so that I don't have to pay for my hotels or my Airbnb. She's like, I don't even use his fucking supplements because they fuck my stomach up. And I'm like, okay. So I prepped her for that. Got into a fight. She hit me up when she was doing the road to Pittsburgh, so the road to the Arnold in Pittsburgh. And Eric followed her there, and then she kicked him out of there. Eric went back to Florida. Then he came back to Ohio to try to follow her. She was in Airbnb. He's texting me, trying to find out where she is. I was like, Eric, do yourself a favor. Stay the fuck away from her. Don't let her anxiety go. She could do very well at the show. She could possibly win it if you stay the fuck away and just let me prep her. He's like, you're with my wife. I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm with your wife or I'm 7 hours away. Whatever. Just let me peek your wife and fucking finish this shit. And that's what I did. I had nothing to do with her at that time, other than peeking her. And how did she do? She ended up getting third. Arguably should have been second. She should have beat Angela. Couldn't beat Issa that day, but she should have beat Angela. So I peeked her for that. After that, she was so mad at Eric for getting up in her ass the whole time. She flew straight to California to go get a deviated septum repair. I don't want to say nose job because people are going to think she's like, oh, she got more cosmetic surgery. She got a septum repair. All right, I'm very specific with things. I don't put dirt on people that's not real dirt. So she was there for 2 weeks. We talked every fucking day that she was there. And then she went back. That was March, April. She told me she was going to go back to Miami to move out of, Jacksonville to move out. And she wanted to move to Miami. And I'm like, well, how? But she never had a how. She just said, this is what I'm going to do and my dad's going to help me. So she went back. And the moment she went back, I knew her dad hates me. for whatever fucker, because Eric's her husband and I'm not her husband. That's pretty much why he hates me, and I'm sure there's other reasons now, but that was the initial reason. So she disappeared again. I had no idea where she went. I was like, what the fuck? I was freaking out about it a little bit. I was hoping she was okay. I didn't know if Eric was beating her, abusing her, holding her, and these are all things she told me that he did. So I don't know what I'm supposed to believe or not believe. So anyway, I don't hear from her. April 6th, I get a call on my birthday from her. Happy birthday! I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now. I was like, are you serious? And she's like, what? I'm like, what? I was like, you disappear for like weeks on end. And I was like, I'm supposed to just be like, hey, yeah, that's great. Now, if this was just a booty call from the beginning, and that's all it was, I would understand that. Or if I was just supposed to be her coach, that's fine too, whatever. I would have done any of those things. And she told me flat out she couldn't have a platonic relationship with me. She always wanted to fuck me. So that's what it was. So I was her coach and her, I guess, sex slave for fucking a year. Keep in mind, I wasn't her paid coach. I was doing it for her as if she was my girlfriend. So when people are like, that's, a horrible way to be for a coach, I was her boyfriend, and she was my girlfriend first. So anyway, she said, happy birthday. Called me back on the 8th. She's like, hey, I want to get you an Oura ring. I was like, I don't want an Oura ring. She ended up buying me an Apple Watch for my birthday. She also bought me a TV on July 4th. That was like $3,000. She bought me this Apple Watch. She also got me a birthday card. And then she told me that she had been stuck in a psychiatric hold for 7 days. And I have a feeling she was in 3 or 4 more of them, because she told me she had blackout periods of 3 days, and 7 days at different points. Now, either she was in a psychiatric hold, Eric took all of her phones again, or she's schizophrenic. Those are my options, because that's the only thing a blackout period means. And the reason I think schizophrenic, because every time I bring it up to her, her head, face, mannerisms change completely, and she goes somewhere else. So anyway, she tells me that, and she's like, well, I was going to come see you. She calls me on the 15th. She was supposed to leave on the 11th, and she's like, I was supposed to come see you, but Eric canceled my phone, reported it stolen, and reported all my credit cards stolen, so I had no way to leave. And sure enough, I saw the ticket. I actually saw the ticket. She sent me the ticket. And she had a ticket to leave on the 11th to come see me in Miami. So then she left there and went from there to New Mexico to shoot a movie, and they took a private jet to do a scene here in Miami. Well, not in Miami right now, I'm in San Diego, but where I live in Miami. And I got a knock on my door, which I have a video recording with her picture on it for April 25th, of her showing up in my house. She came up, basically wished me happy birthday, dropped her dress straight to the floor, and just started fucking me. And that was basically it. And then she left, and she literally booked her own flight out of Miami, right on the private jet, just to come bang me. So that was April 25th. At that point in time, she didn't tell me she was planning on doing Pittsburgh or anything like that. About 10 days later, I saw an announcement that she was doing Pittsburgh, and I said, are you really going to do Pittsburgh? And she's like, yeah, I can do it. And I was like, you haven't been peaking or prepping? She said, well, I've been training. And I'm like, do you want me to peak you for that too? She's like, would you? And I was like, yeah, sure. I always want to help you. You know that. I was like, I would just wish we had a better line of communication, and you would get away from the people who were fucking you up. So I peaked her for Pittsburgh, which she won. And then after Pittsburgh, she tried to give me a shout out to say thank you for everything. And then she said all hell broke loose. Apparently her sister freaked out. I know her sister was saying, like, to the other girls backstage that, like, Sunny makes all of her money with her pussy by pointing to her pussy and, like, kind of, like, screwing her under the table, basically, even though she won, because she was pissed off that Sunny crushed her at Pittsburgh. Ultimately, Marissa got her revenge at the Olympia. Big time. Anyway, so that was going on. So she did that, and then when they found out, apparently there's all kinds of problems that I didn't know about or she didn't know about, and she just disappeared. So I said, you know what, fuck this. When she comes back, I'm driving up to her house. I want to answer one way or another what the fuck's going on. If I'm going to be in your life or out of your life, I really don't care what the fucking answer is. I go up there. Eric's not supposed to be living there because they're supposedly going through a divorce. I go up, knock on the door. Eric's there. So the cops get called. I leave. I come back. Cops pull me over. They give me the restraining order finally. Both of them. And they were supposed to arrest me by law, but once I showed them all the text messages and everything between me and Sunny, they let me go, and the cop went back and gave her a piece of her mind. I also have testimony from another cop basically stating that Sunny said that Eric was the one who forced all of this on me and that she wanted nothing to do with it, and that's coming from the cop that she confided in. So I have that testimony also. So anyway, they let me go. I left. That's the only run-in I've had with the restraining order ever, just so everyone knows. And I went home. And I did not hear from her for, that was March or June. Apparently in June, she tried to get it removed without even talking to me. And then I hadn't heard from her. I finally saw her at the Tampa Pro, which I believe was August. And she kind of startled me. And I stopped, I walked by, and I go, holy shit. And I go, what the fuck? And she looks at me, she's like, hi. I'm like, don't hide me. I go, do I need to run? Do I need to leave the building? Are you going to call the cops? Are you okay? Are you in fear for your life? She's like, stop acting like that. I was like, I'm not going to stop acting like that. You falsified a fucking police report to put a restraining order on me because your husband forced you to. And she's like, I'm getting it fixed. I'm like, not fast enough. I was like, you put this shit on me last September. So anyway, we sit down, we talk, and I tell her at this point, I go, look, if you don't want me in your life, keep the restraining order, keep all of it. I don't give a fuck. I was like, I'm never going to respect you, and you're going to be my enemy. I go, if you just don't want me to be your enemy, get rid of the restraining order, and we can go our separate ways, that's fine. I go, if you want me in your life in any way, shape, or form, you're going to pay me for the lawyer that I had to pay for the restraining order. And I go, if you really want me in your life, then you're going to come visit me in Miami. And she was like, all right. So she left. Eric called her. And when Eric called her, he knew that she was with me because he was tracking her phone again and saw that she was in a hotel room with me. Not necessarily with me. He thought he was somebody else. I think she was banging this other guy too, by the way, because she was hanging out with these swingers. I'm pretty sure she's banging all these people, and that's why I don't care about having her as my girlfriend, or I'm totally over her in that sense. I'm just not over all the wrong shit that I've been put through and all the betrayal and all that stuff after all the help I've given her. Now, don't get me wrong, she's bought me a lot of shit too, and taken me a lot of places and done a lot of things for me, like fucking, I think I've gotten a half a dozen pedicures from her. Like, she's paid for all the dinners of where we've gone when she was competing. Like, she took care of me in that sense, like, you know, so it wasn't like this real weird one-way using me kind of situation. We definitely both used each other for sex, that's for sure. The sex was pretty fucking good. I would say it was like a 9. I joked about it the other day, but it was good. No complaints whatsoever. You know, I really did care for her at one point, and I sympathized with her, and I empathized with her, and I really wanted to help her. So anyway, she leaves Tampa. I'm not expecting to hear anything from her. Finally, I hear from her. She's like, hey, the restraining order thing is filed. It's through. I just don't know how many days it's going to take to go through. She's like, I'm going to come see you before you go for Tulum. She came to my house, I think August 21st. I might be wrong by the date. And she stayed till the 24th. It was like a 4 or 5 day period right there, but I had to leave for Tulum on the 25th. I don't remember that for a fact. So she came to my house. She was obviously off her rocker a little bit when it came to Eric. She was so scared, she booked a hotel about an Airbnb 5 miles from me. And she came to my house with her phone in her car. And in the middle of the night, she got in her car, drove her phone and her car to her Airbnb, left it there, and then called me to come get her because she was scared Eric was going to come find her. And then we spent the rest of the night hooking up and whatever. Then we got up the next day. We went and did a photo shoot with Alex Roman. I have proof of that. We were together for all of that. I have the photo shoot in my phone. I have the text messages with Alex because she had her phone in a different building. And then after that, we came back, hooked up again, and then she left. And then she was telling me how much she missed me and she wanted to be with me and all this shit. And then she reached out and said, while we were there, she said to me, she's like, would you coach me for the Olympia? And I laughed. I go, you really expect me to coach you for the Olympia after all this shit? And I was like, there would be so many stipulations. She goes, okay, stipulations are fine. She's like, let's sign a contract. So I wrote a contract. The contract stated all the shows I had prepped her for before, and there was a bunch of stuff. I posted the contract up like 10 times, so you guys can read the contract. It's up there somewhere. And it had a bunch of stipulations on both ends. I was held accountable to shit also. I sent it to her on the 24th or 5th. I can't remember right this second. She signed it on she signed it on September 7th. She paid me on September 8th. Keep in mind, we're doing check-ins from the 24th so far every week too. She was sending via email. At some point, her email stopped working, and she used a Dropbox because Eric blocked the email. So I knew some shit was still going on. Keep in mind, every time I took her back, too, I told her, I was like, are you still getting divorced? She would tell me yes. Eventually, I had to start asking for divorce papers because she just kept saying she was getting divorced, but there was nothing happening. So, because, I mean, are you going to continue to talk to somebody if you can't see divorce papers and you know what's going on? That just makes sense, okay? Goob was like, who asked their clients for divorce papers? I was like, she still wasn't my client. She didn't become my client until she signed that thing on September 7th and paid me on September 8th. So then she disappeared for 5 days from September 17th, around September 12th to 17th, somewhere in there. Gonna do this in the next video because it's 15 minutes.